Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm David Knight. It's Monday, October 28th, 2013, and here are our top stories.
Tonight on the INFOWARS Nightly News, Barack Obama says he didn't know anything about the spying on global leaders by the NSA. Does ignorance of the law only include the president? Plus, the war on journalists is in full swing. We revisit the casualties. All that and more on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
Well, Dick Cheney just said, they don't fear us, they don't trust us. That's right. The world community has contempt for the American government, just like many American citizens, because of their illegal activities and their violations of privacy. And a story from the London Guardian today says Spain summons a U.S. ambassador over a claim that NSA tracked 60 million calls a month. The Spanish Prime Minister has summoned the U.S. ambassador to explain the latest revelations to emerge from the files leaked by Snowden, which suggest the NSA tracked more than 60 million phone calls in just the space of a month. So first we've seen this happening in Germany, then in Mexico, then in Brazil, then we found out they tracked 70,000 French calls in just 1 month, and now it's Spain. Another day, another country is annoyed with us, angry with us. We see also that there was surveillance of Angela Merkel, and that surveillance extended all the way back to 2002 when she was an opposition candidate, as well as 34 other world leaders. In a report from CNN, they say the White House stopped the phone tapping of foreign leaders this summer, and they say that Obama didn't know. Now, the CNN is actually reporting on a Wall Street Journal story. They say the Wall Street Journal reported that the White House ordered a halt to eavesdropping. Notice that, eavesdropping. They don't want to call it spying. That's just the kind of linguistic prevarication we expect from the government and from their spokespersons at CNN. It's to the point where incompetence has become an alibi, if not a virtue, when we see the government doing this. And yet we are supposed to feel better that they don't have any oversight. There's supposed to be oversight of a search warrant by a judge. But then we were told, don't worry about that. We've got all kinds of controls internal within the NSA as well as FISA. We're looking at all of this. There's a lot of oversight. It turns out that there isn't any oversight. Nobody's looking at this. The president's not looking at it. And he says he doesn't know what's going on with it any more than he knows what's going on with the healthcare website. The Constitution specifies that we get a judge, that they're specific about who and what they're looking for, but we see in this article that they don't really know, according to the Wall Street Journal, when he gave the shutdown order or who gave the shutdown order. Just that, oh yeah, we've taken care of that already. Now that you know about it, we'll kind of walk this back and say that it's been taken care of. But we see reports from the foreign press that Barack Obama, this is in the Telegraph, approved tapping Angela Merkel's phone 3 years ago. That's right, in 2010. He did know about it. This is according to Der Spiegel, as well as other sources in Germany. It says the president allegedly allowed U.S. intelligence to listen to calls from the German chancellor's mobile phone after he was briefed on the operation by Keith Alexander, director of the NSA, in 2010. So now again, we have more lies from the Obama administration as well as the NSA giving us the least untruthful version of this. Now, Republicans have rushed to his defense. You've got Mike Rogers, Marco Rubio, and Peter King. This is what Peter King says. He says the president should stop apologizing, stop being defensive. No, the president and neocons like Peter King should stop violating the Constitution, stop violating people's privacy, and obey the law. We see a very different reaction from Obama when it comes to people exposing his criminal activity, whistleblowers and journalists. And here to join us and talk about that is Leanne McAdoo. So Leanne, he doesn't think it's any big deal when he spies on people abroad as citizens as well as government leaders, yet he has a very different attitude when that happens domestically, doesn't he? Absolutely. I mean, his administration goes out of their way to avoid scrutiny from journalists and reporters. They really only want everyone to look at the propaganda videos that they put out. And they have a very overreaching reaction when somebody blows a whistle on them or when a journalist points out something. Exactly. Obama came into office pledging to be the most open and transparent government ever, but he's actually being seen as the least transparent president we've ever had. And he's also very aggressive when he goes to prosecute whistleblowers. There have been 6 government employees since 2009, plus 2 contractors, including Edward Snowden, who have been prosecuted under the Espionage Act.
which prior to that, it has happened 3 times.
And that's going all the way back to 1917.
Exactly.
So in just a couple of years, 4 years or so, he's prosecuted 6 people when they just had 3 from all the presidents since 1917. So he's aggressively using this and expanding it. That's what we see with Obama. He's doing everything bad that we've seen both Republican and Democrat presidential, not candidates, but presidents do, and yet he's taking it to all new extremes.
Right, and this authoritarianism, it sort of reaches into the agencies that are underneath him. The DHS, we just saw, they went and raided under false pretenses an award-winning investigative journalist, Audrey Hudson, and they said, oh, we're going to go in and we have a warrant to get unregistered firearms. Well, they didn't find any of those, but what they did do is go into her office, and out of all the stacks and stacks of paperwork that she has there, they found 5 documents that related to some stories that were critical of the federal air marshals and that program. And she had won some awards for the stories that she had done on that. And so they went in and confiscated her private personal notes and documents for those particular stories and remove them from her office.
And we see them coming after Fox journalists as well. I mean, it's just a full spectrum, and yet we see, just as I mentioned before the break, that it's not just Obama, but he's got Republican apologists for him. He's got Mike Rogers, he's got Peter King, Marco Rubio is saying, don't worry, there's nothing at all about this that we should be concerned about. Everybody does it. And that's true in Washington. That's true. I'm sure it's maybe true of the French. They've probably got their own spying program, the Germans as well. But to the extent that the Americans are capable of doing it, that's the real story. Nobody has the kind of technology that we have, and that's what makes this so pervasive and so pernicious, is the kind of technology that we have. Everybody across the world is crying out and saying something needs to be done to rein in this. And of course, there should be something done to rein in the other countries as well. But it's the pervasive lack of attention paid to the rule of law, to citizens' privacies, to the Constitution that everybody's concerned about. But the Republicans don't want to stop it because they see themselves as having that kind of power once they get office. So they don't want to take that away from the president now because they want it when they become president.
Right, exactly. Each president sort of learns from the previous administration how to kind of go about curtailing the press. And there are no checks and balances right now of power. It's a complete affront to democracy the way that we do it here. And what their administration does, basically they take videos of their own press, their meetings, and then they allow that to be used by journalists. They say, well, if you have any questions, why don't you go to the whitehouse.gov website where you'll find all of our videos and content on that subject matter.
Right.
So it's whatever propaganda they create. In fact, Obama doesn't even have his press meetings or anything on his public schedule. So reporters don't even know who he's going to be meeting with. So therefore, they can't even ask him any questions about it. And then they don't learn until after the fact. So the Obama White House produces its own short newscast called the West Wing Week, which is basically 5 minutes of their own video and sound from the events that the press didn't even get to attend. And then there, everyone in America can find out what happened in the government that week.
Exactly. Just like we find out from the NSA propaganda film. Thank you, Leanne. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's right. It's just like the NSA propaganda video on YouTube. Now, typically, they get about 200 or 300 views on YouTube. This NSA propaganda video got over 130,000 votes, and about 10% of those, about 12,500 of those were down votes. That's a new record for YouTube, as Anthony Gucciardi pointed out this weekend. Nobody is buying it. Nobody is believing this. People are very angry, just like the people who were protesting this weekend at the Stop Spying on Us rallies in Washington, as well as thousands of people in other capitals like Berlin. People are very upset worldwide with what the NSA is doing, and they're simply not buying the story from the NSA that this is not spying. It is spying. It is breaking the law. It is violating people's privacy, and we're sick of it. Well, stick around. Right after the break, we're going to have more news about privacy violations as well as updates on Fukushima.
Why is nascent iodine so important? Nascent iodine is so important because it goes directly to the thyroid. It's not bonded to a salt, which means it doesn't have to be broken down, and it's the most usable form. It's what the body uses. It's what the body is designed to use. If you have low energy levels, if you have pains, if you have thyroid problems, if you don't feel up to par, well, they've proven now that the fluoride and a lack of iodine causes a decreased IQ, because you have all this stuff that builds up inside your system and builds up and builds up. And that's why some people, when they start taking iodine, will have what's called a Herxheimer reaction or a detoxification reaction. But that's a good sign. That means you're detoxifying all that fluoride buildup, the mercury buildup in there, the bromine buildup in your system, and the chlorine buildup in your system. You don't want those things. All of those things have been proven as carcinogens. That's one of the reasons prostate cancer is on the rise too, is because prostate takes up iodine, and the men that are lacking iodine causes the prostate to become cystic and causes the prostate to swell and eventually leads to prostate cancer. There's been an extreme rise in polycystic ovarian disease, PCOS, with women, fibrocystic breast disease, because iodine is stored in the breast tissue, the ovaries, the prostate glands in men. It's utilized by every single cell in the body.
Why does this almost taste good compared to other iodine that tastes horrible? That's because it's real iodine, atomic form.
We wanted something that's going to go straight into the bloodstream and straight into the thyroid gland. We wanted to put it in a vegetable glycerin base. That's a USP kosher certified vegetable glycerin base. And that product is not tested on animals. It's vegan friendly. It's gluten free. It's GMO free.
Of all the things I've done, Nascent iodine was just absolutely amazing. So we developed with Dr. Group a double strength, low price. InfoWarsLife.com, Survival Shield, the Atomic Nascent iodine, available right now.